Welcome back, everyone. This is Aluminum Tarot. Thanks so much for joining today. I'm going to try a little bit of a quick setup because there has been, thank God, an internet upgrade that is going to allow me to just go ahead and record straight from my mobile instead of going through the laptop, going through all of this other systems and trying to get a bunch of stuff set up. I'm going to just try to streamline operations here for a bit and get these messages out here. So going to be doing the sign of Virgo for today, Sun, Moon, and Rising, for now until a month later. What this is going to also do, this is coming on the heels of a Mercury retrograde. So this is, I believe it's a Mercury in Scorpio retrograde. So that's going to be quite intense. And I do think that it's going to make communication quite powerful. There's going to be actually a transformative feel to it as well, where you find new ways and new styles of communication, throwing out the old and making way for the new. That said, it is Mercury retrograde, so bear with me if I decide I'm going to stumble over my words, do anything stupid. That said, if you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss any updates from future postings. And furthermore, be sure to protect the tarot community by blocking all those spammers. You know exactly how they act, you know exactly what they do. So let's move on from that. We're going to go straight into the heart of the spread. I've already shuffled the cards. I'm going to go ahead and just banter, leave more room for banter and, dilly-dallying. So what we have here, we have firstly the moon as your current energy, Virgo, and this is for Sun, Moon, Rising for this particular period. We have the moon, and what this talks about is you're going into a great unknown territory. And what you're doing now is you're trying to find your footing in the place in which you're going, and especially whatever this is related to, whether that is romance or love or work or career, any of those things, you're going to find yourself kind of fumbling about in the dark, having to use your intuition quite a bit in order to guide and lead yourself throughout this entire process and experience. The reason why I say that is because you have the King of Pentacles as the challenge. It's learning about how to be grounded, learning how to be centered, profitable, as well as feeling like you have abundance on the material plane. So you may have just started a new job, or you may have gotten into a new commitment, which is going to actually test your capabilities quite a bit. You may or may not feel like you're up for the challenge, but you are still going through that lunar process and you're getting out there and you're finding one step at a time in this dark period. In the recent past, you did take a risk on something. This is the Fool card. And with the Fool, we talk about leaping into the great unknown, trusting yourself, and throwing caution to the wind whenever you decide that you're going to embark on a new journey. The Fool goes through the procession of the major arcana and going from the Fool to the world, from 0 to, I believe it's 22. We talk a little bit about how the Fool, in the original Rider-Waite-Smith, he has tattered clothes. And what this talks about is that he's gone through this journey many, many times. This is something that I think Minnow Pond Tarot has mentioned quite a bit. But additionally, what I like to look at with the Fool is that he has that dog next to him, the white dog. It's innocence, purity, and fidelity, and loyalty, and that's a loyalty to spirit, in this ability to trust yourself and leap into the great unknown. So that said, you have trusted that in the recent past. You may have taken on that new job, may have leapt into that new relationship, and just kind of hoped for the best. It's kind of like parachuted right in to, an already dynamic environment, which is now going to test your mettle a bit. The reason why I say that is because in the near future, and this is not the complete outcome, but you have the Six of Wands in the reverse and the Five of Cups, which makes you feel like a failure in what it is that you're trying to do. It may be very challenging for you to endure exactly this new part of the process, learning how to do things. You may feel like you don't live up to other people's expectations or to the capabilities of other people. And that can be pretty normal when you get into a new relationship. How do I measure up to the previous men or women? In a job, it can be, how are my skill sets and are they matching up with the other people? It can feel like, you just maybe a bit harsh on yourself. And the reason why I say that is because clarifying this is the Page of Cups. And what this tells me is that you need to communicate with yourself a bit more gentler. And I think that with this, I don't necessarily see you as like failing at something or doing poorly at something, because the outcome is very good. However, what I see is that a person who is at the emotional level not necessarily feeling like they're accomplishing what they just what they set out to initially, and constantly feeling like in a sense kind of like an imposter syndrome, where you feel that you have leapt into this new opportunity only to not have the not being up to scratch to be able to take this on. At the very core of you have the Strength card, which is telling us a lot about not only just being strong, but additionally having the reserves to keep going. Because after the Chariot comes Strength, and that is the ability to keep going through that journey until you reach the point in which you can set up shop and become the Hermit, go within. Normally throughout the Chariot to the Wheel of Fortune, what I like to think about is that you are leaving the familiar territory, or you're leaving something behind that you have built up over the ages. And that is predicated on a decision, which is the Lovers. And it's a very strong drive to do something. It's not like a decision where you're like, oh, I'm going to go buy apples instead of oranges, or, I'm going to decide to listen to this album instead of that song. It's a very, very strong pull towards something, which is why the Lovers represents both a choice and additionally the desire to, connect with something. It's like that gut feeling, that visceral feeling where you say to yourself, I need to do this, and if I don't do this, I'm going to regret, my lack of choices or my lack of action. So with that said, you move from the Lovers into the Chariot, which is taking that swift action, and then you get into the Strength card, which is keep going until you reach your destination. And then that's when you get to the Hermit. After you get to that destination, you can reflect on the actions and the things that you've learned and the ideals that you've held for so long, until you get to the Wheel of Fortune, where things start to change within your favor. So it's all about putting things into motion, reflecting on those actions, and then actually putting them into, allowing the universe to turn so that your destiny and fortune can be based on the actions of the past that you have taken, the decisions that you made. And so you may be doing that with yourself right now. This is kind of a way of yourself looking at your situation and saying, did I make the right choice to leap into this? Did I decide to take the right career path? Did I decide to choose the right lover? These are things that you really want to reflect on at your core values, your core self. And by doing this, this gives you the chance to persevere through both the good and difficult times. Because right now you have what I think Taurus had as well, maybe Sagittarius, but you have the Five of Swords in the reverse, which is about, you don't want any conflict, you don't want any difficulties, you just want to kind of coast through and make things right. Clarify the Five of Swords in the reverse. Yeah, you want to just make things refreshed and anew. What you're trying to do right now is you're trying to let go of all of the burdensome difficulties that you had to face in the past, especially when it came to maybe colleagues or other people who were just absolutely brutal and cutthroat and did not value your worth. You're moving away from that. You're going into revitalizing your entire life. You're moving into renewing and waiting for that judgment call from the divine, where you can say, you can let your hair down and you can just be free to get into a routine, work, or be in a really routine and love and live with someone, you know, do the things that lovers do, whatever that may be. And finally, let go of all of the torment from the past. What we find that at the end of all of this, you do have a very good outcome, which is the star card, which is telling us a little bit about, there's hope in this new future that you have created for yourself. Don't lose the hope. That is going to be critical and crucial as you proceed through this. Don't give up just because certain things don't go right the first time. What you want to do instead is you want to lead yourself, use the light of the star, not only for you to shine as a person, but for you to also guide yourself into the right path, the right course in your life. You can see that, even in this card here, this person is using that light. It's trying to harness it, actually. And that's what the Hermit does. We were talking about the procession from the Lovers to the Wheel of Fortune, which is card 6 to card 10. This is card 17. This is after the Tower moment. There is a new hope. There is a renewed faith. There's also a lot of healing in that card as well. So I think the choice that you've made will allow you to heal and grow into a person who is comfortable within their own skin, gaining the courage to be able to handle these new tasks and new, capabilities, these new skill sets that you're learning right now, which will in turn provide you with the fortitude to keep moving forward. Now, I pulled also cards from the Steampunk Lenormand. So I'm using the Steampunk Tarot deck. And this is this companion, this Steampunk Lenormand. And what we see here, we see a person who is building stability, a home, the foundations for their new life. And this is what you're moving into, because you see how the gates here are already open. With these gates open, we notice that the opportunity is ripe for you to be able to move forward, to move into this new space where you will have long-term security. This is not a fly-by-night job or a fly-by-night connection. This is permanence. This is the 4. This is number 4 that we see in this card. So with that, 4 is the number of stability, and that is precisely what you are moving into. Cultivate that. Keep moving and make the effort, because this is going to be for the long term. And you see here, the accompanying card here is number 29. 2 plus 9 is 11. 11 is a master number. That is a gateway. So when you have the 4 of Wands, for example, it is an 11-11 card. Here you have the number 11 here, and this is the gateway to prosperity. You have the woman who is sat here with her glass of wine. Wine is the ecstasy of spirit. And then you have the dragonfly, using your intuition to be able to guide and lead and direct yourself, being able to master the art of change and adaptation as well, to cultivate that sense of, abundance that this woman has. This is kind of like the Lenormand version of the 9 of Pentacles, which is kind of mini Empress energy. So she's living, the haute couture, which is the high life, the high culture. And she has done this by trusting her intuition and by being able to focus on the things that are going to lead her to that prosperity. So that's why you have the star here as your outcome. Even if it looks rough in the moment, don't give up hope. Carry forward. If you were foolish enough to get into this at the time being, you will be smart enough and wise enough to come out on top by not giving up. So, I don't know. I guess that's really the message I've got for you for today. Once again, this is Aluminum Tarot. Thanks so much for joining today. If you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding that notification bell, leave a comment below to see how this resonates with you. And if you'd like to support the channel as well, just keep doing those things. That's really all I'll ask you for. If you want to support monetarily, you can feel free to just chuck a few quid into the PayPal located in the description box. And that's going to be it for today. Thank you, Virgo, for joining. And as always, love and light. Till next time. Bye now.